I'm going to make this Samue Artisan jacket with 3 big pockets, making it the perfect chore jacket. Get the pattern now, sew along with me, it's in the description. Let's make an amazing Japanese Samue jacket. You can make this right now. I go through how to change the pattern for different sizes. You can use the pattern and sew along with this companion video and make an incredible jacket just like this. This is cotton, plain cotton, like a broadcloth or a poplin. This is just plain, nice, thin cotton, but plain just the same. So you can use a lot of different weights of plain cotton for this. You can also use drills and denims. This is a utilitarian jacket and you want to make something strong with it to start with. This is 140 centimeters or 55 inches roundabout wide. So it's a nice wide fabric, and I have 2 meters of it, which is 2.2 yards, and I'm going to make a jacket for me. So I'm not a slim guy. This is going to fit me, but it also fits the mannequin, as you can see there, because it does crossover and it has ties. So it's a very versatile jacket. There is sizing in the pattern, and you can use that, but one size fits a lot of sizes. So small, medium, large actually encompasses a lot of different sizes for this jacket, and there's always a way to make it bigger if you want to make a larger jacket for a plus size person. Because these panels are all rectangles, they're so easy to manipulate and change in one particular part to make the garment fit you or the person you're making this for. I'm going to go cut out the pattern. It's here on the screen as I cut it out. You can use that, and you can buy the pattern. It's linked in the description below. Let's get making our Samue jacket. So there we go. I've cut it all out. Here is my pattern bundle. There is the first little piece. This is the coat hook. So that's one of the first things I make. I'm going to put that over here next to my machine, and I'll be doing that one first. I like to get these little things out of the way first, the sort of fiddly, the minutiae, before I then go on to constructing the actual pattern. I like to get all this, so ties, preparing collars, preparing pockets, all of that gets done first. So as I'm constructing the garment, it all sort of slips in nice and easily as we're going through. So I have a body piece. Now I've written about this in the pattern as well. This is for people making a larger size. And the first thing you can do is not cut your center back. So this is all one big piece like this. And you see I've cut up the center for my 2 center fronts, but there's no center back here. The first thing we do when we get to construction is sew this back together if it's a part. So if you have this in 2 parts, and the way you cut this might mean that you have to have it in 2 parts, which is fine. All we do is we sew it back together. But by removing this seam, you actually get a good sort of couple of inches, depending on how you make it and how you sew your seams together. You're really reclaiming quite a lot of space there, and that can be the difference between the garment fitting you comfortably and not, especially when you're making a larger garment. Because this crosses over, there's actually a lot of leeway that you have, and these couple of inches there just give you a little bit extra more to make it comfortable and look good while you're wearing it. So that is my tip if you're making this for a larger person, is you cut the body as one like this. That's one big piece, and then you see here I've got the shoulders, and it is split to the shoulders there for the front of the garment. And I have my pockets. I've got one chest pocket. I've pressed them into place already, and so that's part of my first things I'll do is I'll go and deal with all these little bits, sewing down the top of the pocket and things. Got 2 lovely patch pockets there for the front of the garment. I have cuffs. So I actually cut cuffs as well. This is optional in the pattern. So I've got cuffs here, and they are literally just cut to the same width as the sleeve. So if you see here, this is the sleeve. It's folded in half. The sleeve is like that. It's got down here, this is the sodeyama. This is the sleeve mountain, which links into the shoulder. And the cuff will sit at the end here like that. So it fits perfectly like that. That'll be all done in a minute. So I've got my sleeves, I have cuffs, I have my ties. I've got 4 of them. Again, these are one of the first things I do. So I put them over there with that stuff to sew them up and get them done. And then I also have my collar. And what I did with that is I've pressed it in half lengthways and turned up the seam allowances on each side. So that's almost ready to be put onto the garment as well. These are my front overlaps as well, so they're all ready. Let's get going with, I think of it as the minutiae. These are the little parts that we have to get done to start the garment off. We first make my coat loop, and that is just folded in half, sewn and turned through. It's all this little prep. So you spend most of it at the iron, like you're pressing your pocket bags into position so these can be just sewn on in an instant. And you're getting all this stuff ready. So when it comes to the big construction, sewing the actual seams of the garment together, everything comes together quite easily into place. It's a great time to close the ends of your collar. So we're just turning it back on itself. It's all pressed like that. And we're just closing the ends. So you're bringing it together. And you don't sew your seam allowances together. We're just sewing from the seam allowances up to the peak of the collar, and that's it. So in there like that. So you see they still stay open. That's for attaching the collar later. But you're just bringing the ends together, and then that will be turned out and pressed and look all absolutely beautiful. And you can clip into these corners if you want as well. Beautifully turned corner. So as far as preparation goes, I now have my 4 ties pressed and looking wonderful. I have my collar done at the ends there, so that's fantastic as well. This is the coat loop, and what I did is I pressed it flat and then I turned it in like this, and that there is a 2 centimeter or 1 3/4 inch turn. Do you see that? And then this will be sewn in with a 1/2 inch or a 1 centimeter seam allowance there, so it'll look like that. So that's lovely. And then I've done my pocket bags and then give them a really good press again. So they've now got that, and they're ready to be attached to the garment. So let's go and do that. This is the left front of the jacket. And on the left front, I'm putting 2 pockets. And they'll go somewhere about like this. In the pattern, we talk about the size of your garment and how to size it, and it's all done in the seam allowances. So I'm doing that right now, having a look at this. My panel, this is the body, this is the left front, onto which I'm going to place my pockets. And I'm trying to work out my seam allowances now, so I know what I'm taking off this. So my panel is 37 centimeters, which is around 16 inches. And I'm taking off 3 centimeters on either side as seam allowance. So that's treating the raw edges and then the seam allowance. I've worked this out because 31 centimeters, which is 12.5 inches, is how wide I need my body pieces to be to fit comfortably around me. And this is going to make a garment that's slightly larger than me, but this is a jacket, so it should sit above your clothes, and you should always make these a little bit larger than you think. You don't want these tight to the body. If you're around my size, you've seen me at the start of the video, this will work perfectly for you, and it'll work perfectly for a lot of people around that size as well. But this is what we talk about when we don't cut for size, we seam for size. So the seam allowance is there, that's 3 centimeters, which is 1.25 inches on either side. And then this is now the body, once it's sewn, will be in this part. And that's where we do our measurements to attach our pockets. I'm not doing it from here, I'm doing it from my seam. So I'll come in and I come up by 10 centimeters or 4 inches. So I know that that corner's there. Place it there and make sure everything's lovely and even. And once it is, I can pin that in place to another little mark. And this will be ready to be attached with the sewing machine. You see, so this line where I'm holding the tape, this is all seam allowance. The body actually will start there once everything's sewn. And that's the key. So you might be quite slender, which means you have a large seam allowance and you don't start measuring until here, and then you put your pockets on. Now, the second pocket, which this is the left front side, and I'm only putting a second pocket, the chest pocket, on the left front side. That is 40 centimeters, so around 16 inches from the hem. So you're just squaring things off, making sure everything's sitting where it says it should be sitting. Then stand back and do the eye test. Is that square? Are these sitting in the right spot? Your answer is yes. Pin them down and then we sew them on. All right, we're ready to sew these in place. Now, in the pattern, I've got it written down how we do it. We start in the corner here. I'll use a pointer so we can chart the path, and it's up here on the graphic as well. You can see we go up, then back, then down and around with an edge stitch, and then we repeat that line back to here. So you're starting and stopping at the line here. There we go. That's on there beautifully and neat. I'm going to give this a good press. You can see why there's a machine now that does this in about 1.5 seconds, and why they use that, because it is a lot of concentration to keep that edge stitch all the way around. But when you do it, it looks fantastic. We're now adding our front extensions, which do what they say on the can. They extend at the front, like that. Now, in the pattern, I talk about these being about 6 inches or 15 centimeters, basically all the time. You can obviously adjust that, and they can be a little bit wider, a little bit smaller. It's a great place to add extra room if you want to make your garment larger. The point is that in a traditional Japanese garment, it's about the ratios and the scale of the different parts coming together. So what it is this, as it's cut from the Kimono, you can see here, your front extension is about half, well, it's not about half, it's half the width of your body piece. And so we maintain that kind of ratio when we're making this. Hence, they're usually around 15 centimeters, because kimono panel pieces are usually around 30 centimeters, 6 inches and 12 inches respectively. So we're trying to keep those ratios and keep this around about half the width of this. So you can really play around with the centimeters and inches there, but you don't make it really small. Likewise for the collar, which is half of your front extension. And so that's how it all works out. So when you're scaling this, especially if you're scaling right down for a child or making a far larger garment, you're keeping these ratios in mind, and that will help you make something that looks balanced, looks traditional, and will still fit well and look good. So I'm going to attach these. They're around 8 inches wide. I want to get them to around 6 inches wide, so I need to take an inch off each side. And again, you can play around with this as well, because we've got one of the sides of this is your front opening. So you'll be turning it and turning it again like that to be the opening of your jacket. So you can make that part really narrow, or if you want, you can make it larger and then take some off the other side. But what you're trying to get to is that 6 inches in the middle here, like that. I'm going to actually make this the same width as this side, and do a nice narrow front opening on that side. And I'm going to be doing this as a French seam. Obviously you can just sew this together and overlock it, overcast it, you can serge it, bind it, you can fell it as well. There's so many different ways that you can finish this. I talk a lot about treating the raw edges, so you turn them once, turn them twice, and then there's no treatment once you've done the seams because everything's already done. But I'm going to French seam this. It's very simple because it's not like a lingerie French seam. This is a big French seam. It doesn't have to be tiny and minuscule, and you won't have to do as much clipping as well. It's just 2 turns. Now that your front extensions are on, we cut the neckline. So we're going to cut around here and then down into this part of the garment to then attach the collar around. So this is the template for it, and it really is very simple. So you've got your centre back neck there currently, and we're going to come across from there 4 inches or 10 centimeters either way, and go down the centre back by 2 inches or 5 centimeters. And then the thing is to join this all up. Now, if you were to draw a box, then you could easily find out how you then circle around here. I usually just use a little circular thing at the top of a cup, or this the top of a pin box. And what you've got to do is make sure that the top of it lines up with the 2 inches and the side of it lines up with the 4 inches. And once it does that, then you can scribe in your curve, which you will follow, and make your neckline from there. Then what we do is to continue the neckline, and I'll do it on one side to show you. This is the collar's path. We come out of the neck here, right down here. This is the point that we just made, and we're coming to 29 centimeters, so just under 12 inches from the hem along here. There you go. And this can be moved if you want, but that's a great place to put it. So the neckline is going to come down from this point on the shoulder all the way down to there. Join that up. It's as simple as that. It really is easy. Now what we do is we cut that out. Now that's cut out, and before we attach our collar, we're going to turn back our front like this, doing a double turn just on the straight part. So you've got the diagonal coming down from the neck, and we're turning this back. And when you turn it back on the second turn, at the very top of this, of the straight path here, we're going to insert our tie. And you see that it's going to be caught inside this turn as we pass over it and sewn down in that front edge. And you want it to be facing into the garment like that. So I'm doing an edge stitch down the side of here, and at the very top I'm capturing our tie just in there like that. We're now attaching the collar, and on the inside of the jacket, to the wrong side, this is where you now place your coat loop. So you can see why we cut that nice big neckline out. It gives us a great sort of almost straight to pin this on with. And then it is just a matter of pinning it in place. But the key is just pins. Lots and lots of pins in lots of places. And take your time. collar is on and pressed, looking fantastic. Now we attach the sleeves. So that is as easy as lining up the little marks, especially your shoulder, and you sew A to B. Just sew it on straight. Simple as you like. We're now closing the sleeve, so putting the bottom of the sleeve together, which is as simple as lining up the bottom and sewing A to B. When you're doing this, if like me, you're doing a cuff, whatever you do to this, you want to do to your cuff. So the seam allowance, the seam treatment, you want to do the same. So then when the cuff is slid over the top of this, it fits nice and perfectly. So remember what you do here. That's the key point there. Once your sleeve has been put together, then we are doing the cuff. The cuff we already prepared earlier, and all we're doing is turning it inside out, joining it exactly the same way with exactly the same seam allowance and treatment as we did the sleeve. And then after that, we simply put it over like a waistband or like we did with the collar and sew it round with an edge stitch. Before we sew our side seams together, we need to work out where our ties are going. So just like at the front, they come up and they're attached 29 centimeters or 11.5 inches from the hem. That is the same all the way around. What is important is which side goes into the garment and which side comes out. So here it is. I've tucked my arms away so I can work on the side. In East Asia, garments are closed left over right, and that is what we'll be doing. So the left side comes over, which means on the right side you need your tie to come out of the garment. On the left side of the garment, the tie goes into the jacket. The right side of the garment, the tie comes out of the jacket. And if you're ever confused, set your jacket up like this. You've got the chest pocket on the left side. That's the side that crosses over the right. So you can easily work out, okay, that needs to come to the outside. And it'll be tied like that. And the other one is happening underneath here, so that's inside the garment. And that's how we attach them. Once you've attached them so they do that, then we just do the side seams the same way that we attach the sleeves. And the important thing is to leave a little centimeter gap between the side seam and the sleeve, so that junction can move nice and easily. Because it's a complete 90-degree angle at the junction, it's great to have a little bit of separation so both the sides can move around. It's undetectable from the outside, but it helps everything go the right way without having to put a gusset in place. After that, we hem. Nice and easy. And there it is, all finished, looking incredible. I've still got the white one on the mannequin, but I made this for me, so I'm going to put it on. And I'll show you how we use the ties. So the one from the inside comes through like so. Bring the other side around. And there you go. It is so comfortable in this navy plain cotton. It's quite cool as well. Not too hot, but really comfortable, really functional, and very durable as well in this plain cotton. But you could see how you could change it completely using a different fabric. It feels amazing. The pockets are brilliant. They're so useful as well. This is a unisex pattern, so anyone can make and wear this, and it really is an incredible pattern to sew. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I hope you got the pattern and sewed along with me. Show me what you've made and what you've made it out of, because if you start introducing patterns into these, you can really make something quite cool. I've got a few of these already and I wear them all the time. Perfect for dashing down to the shop or getting your deliveries. They really are an incredible little jacket to have around the house. They're so comfortable, so much fun to sew as well. And the best part is you don't have buttons or zips or anything. You just have your ties, which makes it a far easier process to make the jacket. So grab the pattern, it's in the description. Come along and make your own Samue artisan jacket with the 3 big pockets, making it the perfect chore jacket. I'm Kimono Alex. This is House of Kimono. Follow me for everything about kimono.